Ooh, Travis is going to be 36 next week.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Or,
that's old.
yeah, it is old. It's old as shit. In fact, I wonder where he ranks in
Among
terms of
all NFL
oldest. Yeah,
players. Well, there's some kickers
I know. And
and
quarterbacks and
Stafford and Flacco.
yeah. This says from
Um,
sources across the web. Oh, this is not going to be useful to me at all. Josh Johnson is still in the league, which is
Josh
hilarious.
Johnson. Josh
Josh
Johnson.
Johnson. He's the 10th oldest player in the league. Oldest is Aaron Rodgers, and Mercedes Lewis is a Bear, which I did not know. Prater,
Oh yeah, Mercedes Lewis. Yeah, yeah.
Nick Folk, Joe Flacco.
Nick
So let's
Folk.
see if we had to do. Yeah, Nick Folk is apparently the kicker for the Tennessee Titans, and he's 40 years old.
You sure he's not the Jets kicker?
Mm,
He is the Jets kicker.
okay, this
But
article is from September 8th, so apparently he was the Titans kicker on
then
September 8th,
that's
and
funny.
now he's
Who
the
is Oh my God. So there's a player on here I haven't heard of who's 39 years old. I've literally never heard of him.
JJ Jansen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
JJ Jansen.
and well, it says he's a long snapper,
Oh.
C/LS. So
Oh,
that
he
would
is.
explain. I
Yeah.
mean, why
It's
would you
like
have
no
never
one's
heard of
ever
the
heard of James
Panthers long
Winchester.
snapper?
I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly right.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
who's John Weeks?
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Same
long
deal.
snapper.
Also a long
Man, so
snapper,
how do they
and
last so long?
Morgan Cox, three
Yeah, well,
long
I
snappers in
I
the top
actually
10.
had heard of Morgan Cox as a long snapper. I think
Okay, all
he's
right.
just somehow come across my
So like all of these
but
guys are either specialists or quarterbacks, and then there's Mercedes Lewis up there at 41
Calais
years old.
Campbell, he's
Yeah.
39.
Oh yeah, that's true. I missed him.
But definitely wait, now Mercedes Lewis is actually not active this year.
Yeah. I was gonna say this is can't.
I'm looking at guys that have actually taken snaps this year.
Oh, okay, nice.
So
That's
like
actually a better way to do it. I don't know why I just Googled oldest players in the NFL
yeah,
and
yeah.
clicked on an article when I could have just gone to Pro Football Reference
There's a
and
long
sorted by
snapper
age.
for Minnesota, Andrew DePaola, who's 38. Actually, we're gonna have like a long snapper shortage. There's like a
Sure.
shitload
When
of them.
you mean all these guys hit retirement?
I mean, there
Sure.
are four of them over the age of 38.
It's actually like it's gonna be like Social Security. It's like
Yes,
crisis. We
that's what I
we
meant.
can't finance it. Like
Yes, like
once these guys retire,
we haven't planned accordingly.
no. Welcome in to It's Always Sunny in Chiefs Kingdom. I'm Austin. You can find me on X at Real Bird Lawyer, Bird Law Expert on Blue Sky. Here with me as always, breaking down a Chiefs victory for the first time in 84 years. My co-host Taylor at Taylor_win on X. IASIC on Blue Sky. What's going on, buddy?
Listen to that intro music, the cheery, always sunny drops. We are back, baby, like we've never left, even though at the same time, boy, did we leave for a long time.
We left for a while. The second longest drought between victories in Patrick Mahomes' history. And
Correct.
breaking the first 3-game losing streak in Patrick Mahomes' history. Chiefs, of course, with a 22-9 victory over the Giants. We will break that down. We have news. We have preview of the Chiefs against the Ravens on Sunday. But first, so we're recording this on Tuesday night. I've got company coming in later. We normally would not record on a Tuesday, but we have to kind of squeeze it in early. And to be honest with you, I mean, I've
I
been
was,
wanting to talk about this
yeah,
game
me too.
from the final snap on Sunday night. I didn't know how much I needed this victory, and we'll talk about that when we get out of the news. But all this to say that our usual injury report news is not available yet because the Chiefs have not put out their practice reports as of Tuesday night. So we're relying on a little insider information here from number one Chiefs superfan Nick Wright, who says, per sources, Xavier Worthy will suit up on Sunday. It's not a direct quote, but Nick Wright has reported that Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy will be back and will be playing on Sunday against the Ravens. Now, uh, Nick Wright is not a reporter. He's a television personality, but I'm certain that he's very well connected within the organization. Are you buying this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, if a reporter says something that ends up being wrong, nobody really cares. Like nobody's going to
That's a good
roast them
point.
about it. They don't really have a lot of accountability. I'm sure they have professional accountability in their
Adam Schefter
organizations.
literally put out a tweet on
Yeah,
Sunday where he called the Bengals backup quarterback
Jack
Jack Browning
Jack Browning.
and posted just obviously completely wrong stats about his college and
His
high school
season year.
career. It's
And
just,
yeah, it was he had
and there
like
was
a
no accountability at
1.5.
all.
No, none, of course. And so look, Nick Wright does a nationally televised show where his three co-hosts have no problem completely lambasting him anytime he gets anything even halfway wrong. He is constantly on Twitter. I mean, he puts himself out and he would not risk that type of reaction and that type of I mean he knows it. He knows it. There's no getting around it. Xavier Worthy is playing on Sunday unless there's a setback. Obviously, Nick can't predict the
Sure.
future. And if he practices this week and something happens, so be it. But Nick is saying that according to everyone he's talked to, which could literally be Patrick Mahomes, they're buddies. Like
Could literally
they
be
text and
Xavier
stuff. It
Worthy.
could
I
be
mean,
Worthy, and it
you
might
know.
probably be Worthy. But point is that I mean that's the plan. He's going to come back on Sunday, and about time. Let's get the guy back out there.
Yeah, it fits with the timeline because obviously he's been practicing,
Mhm.
albeit in a limited capacity for, I mean, since 3 days after the injury. I
Right,
mean, he
right.
was out practicing before the Chiefs' week 2 game against the Eagles. So,
And no
you know,
IR. They would have
and no
IR'd him
IR,
if it was
exactly
four
right. This would
weeks.
be the third
Yeah.
week. IR is for 4 weeks minimum, so it certainly fits with the expected timetable. Because if the Chiefs thought he was going to be out 4 more weeks, they would have IR'd him. They clearly expected him to be able to come back, and this is a big game. I mean, like the reason you don't IR him is number one, you think he's going to be able to come back in fewer than 4 games, but number two, I mean, you want to have him on the field against the Ravens. It's a big game. We'll talk about it later. Brian Cook left the game on Sunday night with a neck stinger. He was able to return, and Andy Reid says the team got out of New York healthy. So that would seem to indicate that this injury with Brian Cook is not incredibly serious. We'll see if some of these guys that were inactives on Sunday are able to go. Christian Fulton obviously was the big one, was not able to go with the ankle injury on Sunday. The secondary played lights out without him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe the real Christian Fulton is the Noel Williams we met along the way. You
That's
know,
great.
um, but it's going to be interesting to see as the week goes on. We obviously can't predict this on Tuesday night whether he's going to maybe be back out there or even if the Chiefs, after two straight games in the secondary really playing lights out, even want him back out there. But I'm sure it would be great to obviously have him available and ready to go in a reserve capacity, even if they decide that they don't want him out there as the starter. So
I'm feeling a lot less anxious about the Christian Fulton situation now that the secondary has shown that the first week, the travel, Brazil, all that
yeah, and I
stuff,
think probably just a bad game plan. Like I
yeah,
know Spags
yeah,
came out and said that
plan for
he
them to
didn't
run.
have his yeah, they clearly just
The Chargers have the
they,
number one pass rate in the NFL right now. I
yeah,
mean, no
and
one was game planning for that.
with the Harbaugh as their coach,
Yeah.
and like they just it's the only thing that really explains the Chiefs' performance on in week 1 that also explains their performance in week 2 and week 3 is
Yeah.
that they just had a bad game plan and they got out coached. The Chargers threw them a curveball and they couldn't adjust to it, and
Yep.
that explains everything that has happened in week 1, and it explains everything that has happened subsequent to week 1. That's the only way you can have the kind of turnaround that the Chiefs have had.
Yeah. No, completely agree. And if they've got as many dudes in the secondary that it now appears, or at least through, two games, the Eagles and the Giants are not world beaters through the air, but they certainly can get the job done. And to have the secondary play really well 2 weeks in a row bodes well. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go out against a weird Ravens passing attack that just kind of never really seems like you can get a good grasp on what they're going to do.
In other news, Rashee Rice will return to the team facility this week. He cannot practice, but he can participate in team meetings. Obviously, he will be eligible to play starting week 7. So the Chiefs will get him back in the facility, back in the meeting room. EGE, baby. Everybody got to eat.
Yeah, it's going to be a great boost for the guys. Obviously, they really supported him. We talked about the shirt last week. It's a good deal to get everybody on the same page, get him mental reps, get him in the game plans and in the practice week. It's not that, I mean, fortunately he hasn't been physically injured recently. I mean,
Right.
obviously he was last year, but he's gotten over that and he played in the preseason. He's
And
going
he
to be
looked
ready to
good.
go, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be jacked up and I'm excited.
Final piece of news: Dan Graziano of ESPN writes that he could see Chiefs seventh round running back Rashard Smith getting more playing time if fellow running backs Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt aren't able to be more productive. He mentions that Kansas City views Smith more as a receiving running back and could start becoming a factor once the team trusts him to handle all responsibilities. Obviously, we saw Rashard Smith in more of a capacity on Sunday than we had in the first two games, including carry. He almost got a first down on a run to the edge, like an outside run. A Chiefs running back being able to turn the corner, have good vision, and have enough burst to almost pick up a first down
Haven't
on
seen it in a dog's age.
a run to the edge. It was a beautiful thing to see, but it makes total sense that they want to make sure they can trust him in pass protection. If you're going to have him playing on third down, he needs to be able to pass protect, and he's a smaller guy. That's not to say that smaller guys can't pass protect.
Sure.
Jamal Charles,
Yeah.
one of the goats at pass protecting, and he was
Right.
not. I mean, he's bigger than Rashard Smith,
Ain't
but
the size of the
not.
dog. It's the size of the dog, the fight in the dog,
There you
or,
go.
you know
Yes,
what I
not
mean.
not the size of the dog in the fight, but the
There it
size of
is.
the fight in
In
the
the
dog.
fight. That's the one I missed.
There you go. That's exactly right. So it makes total sense that the Chiefs would want to build up a little trust with him in pass protection before they are going to let him play a bigger role in the offense. But if they're able to work him up to Jerick McKinnon is another great example of a guy who was a dog in
Yes.
pass protection, despite
Yes.
being a smaller guy. I mean, I
Hmm.
think uh, Jet was what, like 5'8", 5'9", and
Yeah,
probably like
not
a
thick. It's the
buck
thickness
90 or
that really
something like that.
matters in
Right,
pass pro.
exactly.
Like those guys are coming at you, and if you're, at all slight, there's a reason wide receivers don't pass pro. Like there's a reason
Sure,
that's,
right.
tackles and tight ends and running backs because you got to have a little bit of oof to you.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see how that develops. But that's going to do it for the news. And so, with great joy and great honor, it's time to talk about the Chiefs getting their first victory of the 2025 season. I get that the Giants are dog shit. They're 0-3. I get that the first half was utterly preposterous in one of the worst halves of football we've ever seen the Chiefs play.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the day, the Chiefs win and cover with a 22-9 victory in the Meadowlands, where they had never won against the Giants before, and frankly have also struggled from time to time against the Jets
Yeah.
in that building, the other team that plays in the Meadowlands. Uh, I just can't wait to get in the Chiefs system.
Well, we're gonna do it, buddy. It's been a while. It's been far too long. And in pondering what we actually do after a win, you and I were
Yeah,
like, so wait,
sure.
what
What do
is
we do?
our
What do
what's
we
our
do here?
process? It's been a long time. You alluded to this earlier that it had been many days since the Chiefs had last won. And in fact,
Many, many fork nights.
we're many fork nights, and you and I talked about this the other day, trying to figure out if this was the longest drought between wins in the Patrick Mahomes era, because obviously it was going to be, if not number one, right up there. And we figured out that the gap between the divisional round game win against the Colts in 2018 and the opening week 2019 victory over the Houston Texans was
Jacksonville
no,
or what?
Jacksonville in
Jacksonville.
19, and of course Houston was in 20 after the Chiefs
That's right.
won Super Bowl 54. The win between the Colts and Jacksonville was 239 days, and that was because the season was shorter. It wasn't the 21, I mean the 17th game yet,
No Super
and
Bowl bye week for the Chiefs.
the Chiefs had to wait out the whole. Not only did they have to, I mean, so they waited quite a while between those two, and this was one day shorter than that at 238 days between the
238
Bills
days.
AFC
That's
Championship
crazy.
win and the Giants win. 238 days is a long time. That
That's
is
literally it's
a
that's
lifetime. I
it's
mean,
too long to wait.
so that being said, we are now talking about a win, which is all we wanted to do for a long time. We'll start, of course. Okay, let me remind everybody. because no
Yeah,
one
remind
remembers
us.
this. This is the
No,
ancient scroll. I'm going to dust
sure.
off
Yeah.
the scroll of what the
The
chief
sacred
system.
texts.
It was C, create drama, H, handle adversity, I, inspire hope, E, engage physically, F, finish strong, and S, separate entirely. This is, of course, if anyone is a big fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like we are, this is based off of the Dennis system. And this used to, when we developed the Chiefs system,
Oh
this
my
thing
God.
was pretty much exactly how the Chiefs won
Sure.
games
Every
every single
single
time.
game. Yep.
They were very clockwork. They would separate. They would finish strong. They would do all this stuff. And now over the last couple of years, as they've still won a bunch of games, they went 15-1 last year in the regular season. We kind of had to like shift around and squint and kind of do some stuff in the Chiefs system that was like, well, they didn't really finish strong. They won on a last second field goal, so they can't really separate entirely, but we're still gonna go for it.
Right. Right. Right.
This time was a little Chiefs system. It was pretty textbook. So we'll go through it. We'll start with create drop. And I mean, Chalo, 0-2, season on the line is how you and I predicted this game last week.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. As much drama as you can have pre-game for a game against a nobody NFC team that's never mattered. Like the Giants had nothing to do with the drama. They would have had drama if they were playing St. Mary's School for the Blind this week. It's more about just the Chiefs situation internally and what they had gone through and where they were going into this week 3 game. But I mean, drama wise, it was I felt nervous, and I shouldn't have felt nervous going into a game against the Giants. And they proved that would have been foolish. But this team, man, they're capable of a lot of drama, and this week certainly proved that they were up for creating as much drama as they could handle.
Yeah. I mean, you could hear it, the talking heads and the noise leading up to the game. Like I've had a lot of people. I've had a couple of takes standings wise this past week that people are giving pushback on. One is that the Chargers are going to win the AFC West and walk away with the
Sure.
division, which maybe there's a
Yeah.
little bit of reverse jinx to that. But like I mean, they're 3-0 in the division already. They already have the head to head over us. We're one
They
and
have a
two.
2 game lead on
We
the whole
we
division.
talked about their schedule last week. It's a joke. The point is, the other take that I have had is that this game was for the season. I mean, like this game, you had to win this game because it's not that mathematically you can't get out of an 0-3 hole. You can mathematically. It's easy. Just win the next 14 games. You're
Yeah,
14
win
and
them
3.
all.
You'll
Yeah.
get the 1 seed. You you
Yeah.
can you can go 0-3 to start the season, and you can have the number 1 seed in the bye, right?
Sure.
Like just win every game left on your schedule. Oh,
Yeah.
except that that's not how this works in reality.
Mhm.
And if you lose to the Giants, which is probably, I mean, it's one of the 3 easiest games
I
on the schedule.
literally was going to bring this up after you were done.
Yeah,
It might be the easiest
it
game on
might
the
be the
schedule.
easiest. Yeah, it might be the easiest. I
Yeah.
mean, you just like the only reason that you couldn't automatically pencil that in as the easiest game is only because the
Tennessee.
week before the
Oh.
Giants scored 35
Yeah. Also that.
points or whatever and
Yeah.
looked
37. Yeah.
looked kind of decent.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tennessee, I mean, but Tennessee, number 1 overall pick, who knows what Cam
Good.
Ward will be getting up to later in the year.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders look pretty bad, but that's a divisional game, so
Throw
that's
everything
always
out when you play
tricky.
in the division. Yep. Yep.
Exactly. And you've got Pete Carroll, a veteran, great coach on the other side there.
We thought
Point
maybe
being,
Indianapolis would be easy. Turns out
sure.
they're the best team in football. So,
Yeah, right, exactly. Indiana
sh-
Jones, you,
yep.
you can't trifle with him.
Nope.
Yeah, the point is, if you lose if you lose one of the easiest games on your schedule to start 0-3,
Mhm.
that is categorically different than if, say, you played the Chargers, the Eagles, and then you played the Ravens this week
Yeah.
and you were 3. That's different.
Yep.
Because then you played 3 of the hardest games on your schedule, and sure, you're 0-3, but like now you've got,
You've
the
played 3
Giants
Super
coming
Bowl
up, whatever.
contenders. I mean,
Exactly.
that's, you it's okay to lose to Super Bowl contenders. It's not okay to lose to Russell Wilson and the Giants.
Drama created.
Drama created. So that's C. And of course, now the Chiefs need to handle some adversity. Even though the first half, as you mentioned, was just complete and utter ass for the entire offense. It was no fun to watch for us as fans. However, the defense did their part handling adversity. They handled a Giants team that, as you mentioned the week before, threw for 450 yards and scored 37
Crazy.
points I won't mention the team that they did that against because that doesn't matter. That's completely irrelevant to the story.
Totally
Uh,
irrelevant.
but the defense harassed Russell Wilson. They got a first possession fourth down stop. The Giants kicker had Graham Gano had tweaked his groin before the game, so the Giants probably would have kicked there to try and go up 3-0, but instead they went for it and the Chiefs stopped them. And more importantly to me for handling adversity, the defense picked up their first two takeaways of the year in the first half on two interceptions of Russell Wilson. While this team, as we said, struggled all first half to execute on offense, the defense looked a lot closer to the unit that's been, I mean, basically carrying the team for 2 seasons or so. I mean, the Chiefs have leaned on the defense for a while, and this looked like another version of the 2023-2024 Chiefs that could lean on a defensive performance and then just get the job done on offense when they absolutely had to. They struggled to bring down Cam Skattebo, but I have a feeling a lot of teams will be looking back on a game against Cam Skattebo and saying they had trouble bringing him down. That dude has some real juice. I enjoyed watching him play running back in college, and he just ran through some Chiefs, and I had no problem with it. I mean, it's one thing if a crappy player does that to you, but I think this kid's going to be a star in the NFL. So, as far as Russell Wilson's patented moonball offense is concerned, the Chiefs handled that adversity quite well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really promising start for the Chiefs defensively. They did have a tough and rather foolish roughing the passer penalty on Karlaftis.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Giants' drives in the first half went downs, punt, interception, touchdown, interception, and the roughing call was on the drive that extended the situation. I mean, they had that drive essentially stopped on 3rd and 8, and then they get penalty that extends the drive. So, I mean, aside from that, and it was a penalty to be clear. I'm not.
Yeah, it was just dumb.
It was a late hit. It was a bonehead play by Karlaftis. He finally got to the quarterback for like the first time this year, and he just forgot what to do. And he forgot that you're not supposed to hit the quarterback after he's let go of the ball, and that's going to be a penalty. And it
That was
was
a 3rd and 9 incompletion on the 33. So
exactly. So, I mean, they
bad
would
time
have
for it.
held the Giants completely scoreless essentially in the first half, had it
They
not
may
been
have
for that.
punted.
Sure, exactly. Yeah,
fourth and
right,
9 from the 33. That's with a
right,
team without a
right,
kicker,
right.
not a good
Exactly,
situation
right.
to
And
be in.
we get right, exactly. Graham Gano did come in late in this game to kick a chip shot, but that wouldn't have been a chip shot. I mean, from the 33, you're talking about a
50.
50, yeah,
Yeah.
50 yarder.
Yep.
So this is a good showing by the defense. I do want to. I don't want to dwell on it, but I mentioned the penalty. The offense looked completely dysfunctional.
Yeah.
There was some adversity of their own making. The defense handled the adversity of the offense pissing down their leg and looking as bad as they've looked through 3 weeks. And to be clear, they did not look good in the first. They looked terrible in the first half against the Chargers.
Yes.
And we blamed that on Xavier Worthy, going out on the third play of the game and, him being obviously a central focus of the game plan. And the Chargers, as we've already discussed, had a great game plan, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but they had a great game plan defensively. I mean, Jesse Minter, he's good. He's a really good defensive coach, and they've got a lot of good players on that defense. Against the Eagles, same situation. Long periods where they had trouble moving the ball and just looked kind of dysfunctional. And that all continued in the first half on the offensive side. Throw in, some struggles by the kicker, missing a field goal here. It's crazy because he had that kick, what, a 59 yarder at halftime in week one
At the freaking buzzer. I mean,
at the
as
buzzer.
crazy of a fire drill field goals you'll ever see.
On a weird field that he's never played on before. I mean, like down in
That's soccer
Brazil.
field, though.
Sure.
Flat.
Yeah, that's all right. Exactly. Right. That's fair. But he's got a little bit of the yips, and I understand. I mean, it was not an easy field goal, but it's one that he normally makes. And so the point being, there was a lot of adversity to handle, and the defense stepped up to handle that adversity in a really encouraging way. And I'm hoping the rest of these letters we'll get to talk some more positively about the.
We will. The Inspire Hope letter is
Oh
always the best
man,
one of the Chief system to me. It's I try to tell I mentioned this earlier. I try to tell the Chief system in chronological order as often as I can in the
sure,
game.
yeah,
But I mean, there is no more appropriate section than the Inspire Hope section to talk
Hmm.
about the man of the hour, the
Yes.
savior of the kingdom,
Yes.
number
Yes.
80 in the box score, but number one in your hearts, Mr. Taekwon Thornton. The kid's just he's a welcome shot in the arm for an offense that has been desperate for one more than any team in the league. And he currently leads the Chiefs in receiving yards through 3 games with 171, with those last 71 coming against the Giants in a game that felt like he had 200 yards. Just seeing it's crazy what a little taste of explosiveness does for our psyche as
Yeah.
fans. How inspired were you by Taekwon's unbelievable performance on Sunday?
I was so inspired by it, and there's so many things that I love about it. I have a feeling we'll be talking about Taekwon some more when we get to the awards. But I mean, to be clear, I'm not sure what the misfire was. He was wide ass open up the
Yeah.
seam on another play in the first half that could have been a touchdown, and Pat didn't hit him. I'm not sure if that was on Taekwon or on Pat. They weren't quite on the same page. But what I loved about this is, first of all, Patrick Mahomes leads the league in 30 plus yard pass completions through 3 weeks,
Woo-hoo! Patrick
which
Mahomes
is
throwing bombs.
which has not been the case since like 2019.
Not only has it
Uh,
not been the case that he's been leading, but
right,
I mean, he's
exactly.
been dead
He hasn't
last.
exactly. He hasn't even been attempting them, let alone completing them. And yeah, is he the most efficient deep ball passer? Is he the best deep ball passer in the NFL?
Yeah.
No, he hasn't thrown a deep pass in like 3 years. This is the
Yeah.
thing. Like he's feeling feelings again, and he's
Yeah.
feeling them
You remember feelings,
because
right?
of that guy that was cut from the Patriots, who was their version of Sky Moore. Like the guy taken 2 picks before Sky Moore, he was literally their Sky Moore. He was complete bust, and they cut him loose. He comes and spends a season on the practice squad, and now he's suddenly. I mean, he could for us, he might as well be Randy Moss out there. And the catch that you're referring to, I mean, they came back to him. I mean, I guess this technically was in the second half, but like,
That's why I said we'll
yeah,
try and go out of chronological, but
sure.
it's the
I mean,
Taekwon Thornton
like,
show.
he went up and got it, and
Yeah.
he
He
had to
mossed
fight
the
for.
guy.
He did boss the guy. I mean, he had
Yeah.
to go up. He had to go up and fight for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, it just was so. I mean, like the fact that he's doing this as sort of like the number one receiver when he shouldn't. I mean, we were talking about we weren't even sure if he was going to make the team.
Yeah, sure. He wasn't
Like
sure if he was going to make the team.
right,
I mean,
exactly. And it wasn't really until like a couple of days before they finalized the roster that it was like, okay, this guy's probably going to make it. And they were taking shots to him in the preseason. Like you kind of got a little taste of it, but like he was supposed to be the third option at most, probably the fourth option behind Hollywood, Worthy, and Rice. And even as a deep threat, the second or third option behind Worthy and Hollywood.
yeah.
And here he is suddenly, doing things that we have not seen a Chiefs player do in a long time. One of my buddies texted me and he was like, "Is this guy like MVS who can actually catch the ball?" And I was like, "That's actually like our friend of the show, Seth Kaiser, said
Okay.
he's also got better acceleration through 10 yards and he's a better route runner." But the point is,
Yeah.
like
The
that
promise of
was
MVS.
that was the last guy that Mahomes for a while would take these kinds of deep shots to was MVS.
Yeah.
And we all remember how that worked out.
Yeah.
He
Horribly.
dropped a game winner against the Eagles a couple
Uh-huh.
of years ago.
Uh-huh.
And after that, and he did come up with a game winner, I mean a game sealer against the Ravens. So like let's not, let's not totally playoff MVS was a different story. But
Yes, I was about to say.
regular season MVS, the point is, like it's crazy the amount of trust that he's built with him through 3 games. And even in this game, the catch gets overturned and he goes right back to him on the very next play. I
Yep.
mean, like, when do you think the last time Patrick Mahomes threw 2 consecutive deep balls in a
I can
situation
tell
where
you.
he didn't have to do it, right?
I can
Like
tell you.
if it's not
I
game on
looked
the
this up.
line, okay, great.
So, first of all, this probably wouldn't surprise you because this is a game that Mahomes had one of his best quarters probably his best quarter
Oh,
of his
okay. Yep.
NFL career.
I already know what it
I don't
is.
think you do. I don't think you do. Well, I
Really?
mean, I guess so. There are a couple candidates there. There's at Tampa with Tyreek in the first
Uh-huh.
quarter. That's
Yep.
one of them. He didn't
Yep.
go back to back deep on that one, but he was. I mean, he had 200 yards passing in the first quarter. Now there's
Uh,
there's also. Do you have candidates in mind? There's the Texans
yeah.
game. The Texans comeback.
The one that I'm thinking of is at Oakland.
Okay, so you nailed it.
And
I
yep.
wasn't
Okay,
sure if you
good.
were going to get
Yep.
the game, but
I
of
mean,
course, you know
Demarcus
ball.
Robinson and the
Yes,
guys, the
and
boys,
Hardman and Kelsey
without Tyreek was
without
injured,
Tyreek. Yes,
running over the infield in Oakland in the last
28
season.
points in the second quarter in that
Hmm.
game, and
Right.
he was launching nukes. I mean, he had
Yeah.
5 consecutive 30-plus yard completions,
It's insane.
5 attempts in a row over 30 that all got completed. That's the most nuclear Patrick Mahomes has ever gone in any game. And he just kept hitting them and hitting them. And what reminds me of Tyquan Thornton and why I thought of that game initially is that when Mahomes had guys downfield that could catch, he wanted to throw to him. I mean, it
Right.
was the
Right.
2019 offense and 18 offense, the early Mahomes days. They weren't just explosive because of Tyreek Hill. I mean, Sammy and Demarcus Robinson and, believe it or not, McCole Hardman, as much as it's crazy to think about how effective he was at downfield shots, he was. I mean,
Yeah.
they could stretch the field. And as soon as Mahomes had trust in those guys, he was ripping it. And it was working, and they were the best offense, and everybody loved it. And then those skill players eroded away or were traded away or what have you. And what they were left with was a bunch of guys that every time he threw them the ball, bad shit happened. Not only did they not catch it, but they were getting, picked, and it was
Sure.
just they were losing games, and it was just not working. And it created this just anxiety in Mahomes. It must have of throwing deep. And so they massacred our boy and they turned him into a check down merchant. And now he's got Tyquan back and he's
Mm.
loosening up the arm. That deep one he had to Hollywood at the end of the first half was just a freaking, he launched it as hard as he could. And it just reminded me that he's wanted to do this. It's not that he
Yes.
has been,
Yes.
thriving in this little dink and dunk offense, but what he wants to do more than throw the ball deep is he wants to win. And the only way he could win with that personnel set was dinking and dunking. And
Right.
now he's stretching it out, and it's a lot of fun.
And
Uh,
he's clearly getting better at it too. Like
clearly,
that's
clearly,
the other thing is like people keep saying he's a bad deep ball passer, and he has been a bad deep ball passer the last 3 or 4 years
takes two to
because
tango, buddy.
he's taking one or two deep shots a
Mm-hmm.
game,
And missing
and
them.
his guys are
Yeah,
he's either missing them or his guys are dropping the
yeah,
ball, right? Like
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it just is. It's only natural that you get better at something the more you do it. And he's the best freaking football player in the world. Of course, he's going to get better if he's throwing the deep ball 6 or 7 or 8 times a game. So
And not
anyway,
even really get better. He's just remembering.
yeah,
He's just,
exactly right.
he's coming back to himself. It's just
He's just knocking the rust off. That's
he's
it.
knocking the rust off. So we've inspired hope. Feel very inspired by Taekwon
Mm,
Thornton and the deep
super
ball.
inspired. Incredible.
Now, I'm going to basically do an I round two. It's going to be engaged physically, technically,
Okay.
but it's more inspiration. How
Okay.
about this rookie class so far?
Mm, yes.
They're doing it, man. So we'll start. I'm just going to go through a couple of the guys that played in this, and Jeffrey Bassa had a special teams tackle. Good for him to
Mhm.
get in a box score. He's a fifth rounder. He's not always going to be, he's not asked a lot, but it's good to get a tackle. Juju was mic'd up and was fired up
Yes.
for Jeffrey Bassa. That was a good little good indication of just how good of a leader Juju Smith-Schuster is. Ashton Gelati, 37 defensive snaps, a blocked extra point. Looks like a dude. Looks like a guy that they can rely on to go out there and play some effective defense. Always nice to see a rookie in week 3 already looking like he belongs. Speaking of belonging, Omar Norman Lott, ONL with 3 tackles and 22 snaps, a massive 5 pressures per team reporter and friend of the show, Matt McMullen. Chris Jones had 7, George Karlaftis had 7, and Omar Norman Lott had 5.
From like a nose tackle, basically.
From a nose
like,
tackle.
I mean, that's crazy.
Generating pass rush from a defensive tackle is something that we thought was only possible through Chris Jones. But
Sure, right.
through Omar Norman Lott, all things are possible. And the Chiefs pressured Russell Wilson on 54% of his dropbacks, despite only blitzing 6 times in the game on 37 dropbacks.
And they had Andrew Thomas back. you
They had
know,
Andrew Thomas, and
premier
he's a
tackle.
really really good tackle. There was all the reason to suggest that the Chiefs should struggle the way that they have struggled in the front four against this team, and they just didn't. They just looked really good. So that's obviously promising from ONL. Rashard Smith had, as you mentioned earlier, he had an 8-yard run on the outside. Had some limited action, but had some pop. Looked like a guy that we can at least hopefully see rip one off here before too long. And I mean, Josh Simmons, one of the best
Yeah.
left tackles in the league, not
Yep.
rookies, not best young, one of the best left tackles in the league through 3 games. He is put on an island 72.5% of the time so far this season, which is the fifth highest in the league among all
That's crazy.
tackles.
It's
He has the
crazy.
fifth highest island rate and a 92.5% pass block win rate. He's a
It's
dude.
crazy.
He is
It's
as
crazy.
dude of a dude as you could possibly ask for. And then finally, before I get done with the rookies, I would be remiss if I didn't forget our dog, Noel Williams. Top
Mm,
cornerback coverage grades this season via PFF, number one in the NFL. Kansas City's Noel Williams with
it's
93.0
crazy.
coverage grade. I mean, give me all of your rookie takes. What do we have a 22 class brew in here?
I mean, I feel like it's funny because when we had a late start getting into our off-season content, and so we
You
came.
and I. Yeah, sure.
Yes, we did a draft show, but we came to the content a little late in the game. We took
We
some
were
time
mourning.
off. We were, and you know, it didn't seem like this was necessarily the class that was going to blow you out of the water. That 22 class was great, but you had two first round picks. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
you traded up for
Mm-hmm.
McDuffie. You knew that there were some guys in there. And now, of
Some
course,
blue chip
like
talent. Yeah.
Jalen Watson, is a huge hit in the seventh round. Isaiah Pacheco for a seventh round pick, a huge hit. You know what I mean? Like you had some players that developed there. Leo Chenal, obviously developing into a really interesting piece. But like on paper, this wasn't necessarily that kind of class.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, they've exceeded all expectations. I mean, the Josh Simmons thing, yeah, we talked, obviously with our dear friend Randy about this, that, he draft day, he was thinking like, I mean, if this guy doesn't play at all, his rookie year,
Yeah.
and we get a franchise left tackle out of the deal, that would be incredible. Yeah, how about he just
He
plays
does
week
play.
one and
Yeah.
he's a franchise left tackle already? I mean, like that's
Yeah.
it's hard to overstate how big of a mistake that looks like for everyone else in the league. Because we were just talking about the deep ball. The reason he's able to throw the ball
Yes.
deep is
Yes.
because he has pockets. Now, some of
Yep.
that he's creating on his own, and there
Of
still
course.
are some pass protection issues that need to get cleaned up. But
Of
like
course.
I have like the thing about the offensive line is sure you can do some work with coaching and with continuity, but at the end of the day, like you need talent there.
Mhm.
And that's why, a player like Josh Simmons should never be available for the Chiefs draft
No.
because you cannot teach that kind of talent and size and athleticism. I mean, obviously we talked about his play last week against the Eagles. You cannot teach that. You can't coach that. There's so few people in the world that have that combination of physical talent. And the fact that he is extremely coachable and really polished out of the gate is just icing on the cake. Noel Williams, I mean, we already alluded to it with the Christian Fulton injury, but like, I mean, his snap count has gone up every week, rightfully so. He's like he kind of reminds me of not physically necessarily, but just like the dog in him. He's kind of got Legarius Sneed energy.
Of course he does.
Is
Yeah, it's a
is like
great comp.
that's like how the Chiefs like to draft DBs. So that's not
Mm-hmm.
a coincidence, right? Like they want
Mm-hmm.
guys that are going to be feisty. Like you can see a guy like Noel Williams. I can picture it in my mind, him going up against a guy like Tyreek Hill and just putting him in the ground,
That was
off
Legarius Sneed.
off the snap. Exactly, right, exactly. And I can see Noel Williams being that kind of player.
Yeah.
So this is a great. This is, I mean, TBD, but like this is a really good class through 3 weeks, and like who's going to take a step back? I mean,
Right.
like
Right.
DBs I understand can be a little bit volatile, and Brashard Smith has to show that he can hold up to a full season, but like. Noel Williams looks like a huge hit. Omar Norman Lott looks like he's a huge hit. Josh Simmons is like a
Biggest
historic,
hit
yeah,
ever.
like a historically great find for the Chiefs in the draft. Not a find in the draft, but like
Right. Right.
the the confluence of events that, I mean, the Eagles have to be upset with themselves, taking Jihad Campbell. Like, I get
He's
that
very
they
good.
trade, he's good, but like the Eagles love to take offensive linemen and they
Yeah.
have a great offensive line, but like, you don't think, I guarantee you that Howie watched the tape last week of Josh Simmons and he's like, ugh,
Yeah,
like I
that would have
can't
been
use
fun.
him right now, but like,
Hmm.
Lane Johnson's getting up there. Milata's not, he's still got many years ahead of him, but like, I mean, that just was, I don't know. It's an incredible class. It's very inspiring. I'm glad that we decided to double up on the eyes there. Chiefs.
Chiefs system.
Chiefs.
What's great about getting a player, with value in the draft is that it's the only way that a team can continue to stay on top of the league. That's the only way you can do it is to
Yeah.
hit in the draft. You
Yes.
cannot do it through free agency. You cannot do it with scheduling. You cannot do it any other way other than you hit home runs in the draft. And if you can do that over and over again, then you make up for the lack of resources that you have that other teams have by being better than them at the draft. And a guy like Josh Simmons, or I mean, I even think of Trey Smith. The Chiefs, he's on his second contract. They got him in the sixth round because of health issues. And they were able to analyze and talk through the health issues and get to the point where they were comfortable with it, just like they were with Josh Simmons. And they leap rounds or picks in the draft by doing that. They leap up. They give themselves extra ammo because they're able to take those type of risks. And I think that's if the Chiefs are going to get back to the like cream of the crop of the NFL, which let's be honest, right now they are not. But if they can
Right.
get there, they get there by doing exactly what they did in this draft and hitting a home run with not just one pick, but having a deep draft where all these guys immediately are producers because now you can afford to spend money, in other places and stuff like that. And we didn't even talk about a guy that hasn't played yet in Jalen Royals that certainly could end up being a key member of this rookie class. I mean, we've of course not seen him in the offense yet, but if he ends up being a contributor in any way, then I mean, the sky's the limit on this roster. So
I know we have to go to another
we
letter,
do
but
eventually. We can linger here.
I just love what you said though about basically skipping picks in the draft, right? Like we've talked, I mean, every year, the draftniks get out there and you've got people doing their mock drafts, which I know you hate, but
Triggered.
you got people out there doing their mock draft simulators and they're trading their whole draft to trade up to, number one or number two in the draft and they're taking whatever, Travis Hunter or
Yeah.
whoever, Nick Bosa, whoever. Uh,
R.I.P.
yeah, exactly. The Chiefs did that, but without giving up any picks. They actually, in fact, gained a pick to take Josh Simmons in the draft. If you redrafted the 2025 NFL draft through 3 weeks, I mean, I think Josh Simmons, the Titans probably still take Cam Ward. The
Probably.
Jags probably still take Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter was picked for the Giants. He's flashed in this game. Couple of tackles, three tackles went in the top 10. Will Campbell to the Patriots, who's having a good year. Armand Membu from
Hmm.
Missouri to the Jets. And
Hmm.
then the Saints, Kelvin Banks Jr. I think that Josh Simmons would be tackle one if you
I agree.
redrafted this.
I agree.
And that's not to say anything bad about, I mean, Will Campbell's good, but like
He's not as good as Josh Simmons.
Josh Simmons
There's only
is,
one player in the top right of that graph right now, buddy, and it's Josh
that's right.
Simmons.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's fun and it's fun to get free draft resources. They needed them and they got them. So that was F, or that was technically E, engage physically. We now are on to F. So the Chiefs finally get to finish strong in this game.
Mm,
It was a 13-3 second half that was more of a laugher than even that score seemed. The Giants never really threatened in the second half. The Chiefs, they started out with an opening quarter, third quarter touchdown drive in this economy. Like
yeah,
they
right.
started off with a touchdown. You and I were talking throughout this game as we do, and we were pretty relaxed. We were taking it in. We were not stressed out in any way. Um, it it felt like finishing strong is kind of a weird one in this one because of how poorly they started. Basically, if you finish like a regular normal ass NFL team in this game, you're finishing strong compared to how they started.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened here. They didn't really do anything above and beyond. They didn't really do anything that said like, oh, that's where they put the clamps down. They just played like a normal NFL team that you would expect, especially one with championship pedigree and with some talent on both sides of the ball, better than the Giants. They asserted their will, and they shut them down on defense. They scored a couple times on offense. They did what they had to do. So finish strong here. I kind of It's like a lowercase f. Like they finished strong, but only because they didn't finish the way they started, which was god awful.
Yeah, this was an interesting half. It was obviously much better than the first half offensively. And the third quarter opening drive is a great example. I mean, they burned 7 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, classic
It's
Chiefs.
yeah, and it was an 11 play drive, that took almost 7 minutes off the clock. They scored touchdown. Uh, that was something that you could build off of. And we talked about it in the preview. They started mixing in some more under center runs. They ran jet motion off of under center
Oh,
for a great run. I mean, yeah, and like it looked like a good Chiefs offense again. Now, not for the entire half, but like I don't know. There's been a lot of criticism of Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, the offensive coaching staff through 3 weeks, and I'm not saying that that's not completely warranted, but
right.
what I think what I think people sometimes overlook about the Chiefs is that this is by its nature. You have a 66-year-old Mormon head coach. Like this
Mormon.
is I don't mean a capital C conservative, but this is a conservative organization in the sense that there is a ton of continuity here. There's a ton of familiarity here. You have a coaching staff that has done things a certain way. And while I'm all for innovation, and we do see this from time to time, and I think in week 7, we're going to see it. But this is a team that has experienced a ton of success. And if you experience a lot of success in the NFL for now 2.5 decades, as Andy Reid has as a head coach, you're not going to go out there and change everything up right
Right.
away,
Right.
right? Like you know that this thing works. And so
Believe in it. Yeah.
teams I think there are other teams in the NFL, and I think this can be really frustrating as a fan. I know it is for me. Like, I do think that there is a temptation amongst fans to say, like, oh, you ran that play, it didn't work. Like, you may have run it before and it
Did.
worked, but like
Yeah.
you just ran it and it didn't work. Never run that play again.
Never.
We need
The
to come
Blake
up
Bell
with
sneak.
yeah, we need to come up with completely new plays now, and we need to run them. We need to fire the offense coordinator. We need to change everything.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just so clearly don't operate that way. And I do think that, on some level, I do think that, I mean, we know this. We know that the team views the regular season as their opportunity to get the kinks ironed out so that they can play their best football in January and February. And
At least January.
Exactly. And I mean, listen, if the Chiefs had Josh Simmons last year,
Yeah, I know.
they had
I'm
Josh
bitter,
Simmons in
man.
February. I know, and I'm bitter too. And pretty bitter that the Rams couldn't
Ugh,
give the Eagles their comeuppance in their revenge game. The
Jesus.
Eagles played back-to-back revenge games against their AFC championship and Super Bowl opponents, and
They played the
unfortunately,
Commanders in the AFC or in the
oh,
NFC
that's right,
Championship,
that's right,
but
that's right.
they beat them in the
In
divisional
the
round.
divisional
Yeah,
round. That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Two revenge games in a row for the Eagles, and they somehow come out of those
Look, the
still
Eagles
undefeated.
are the
But
2024 Chiefs.
yeah,
Like
they
they
are.
are
Sure, they're a paper tiger.
escaping
Yeah.
by the skin of their teeth on blocked field goals and on ref controversies. They are the 2024 Chiefs, and let's hope it ends the same way.
All right. So we've got
Yeah,
one
that
more
was that
letter.
was yeah, that was finished strong. And so the Chiefs, of course, have to do what they do when they win games. They eventually have to separate entirely. The Chiefs did stop the Giants in this game 3 times on fourth down. There was the opening drive fourth down, and then the final 2 drives of the Giants were both fourth down stops. Part of that early, I mean, certainly the first drive was because Graham Gano pulled his groin in warmups, but the final 2 Giants drives, they just had to have him, and the Chiefs wouldn't give it to him. And the Giants could have made things interesting. They could have really made separating entirely be very tough to do if they had executed and the Chiefs had given up. I mean, we've seen the Chiefs do this. We've seen the Chiefs let teams back in
Sure.
and let them tie games and much inferior opponents. We've seen them do that in the past, and they didn't do it here. This was not a stressful or a interesting fourth quarter, which is just a freaking, I mean, a miracle. I can't believe the Chiefs actually won a game by double digits, and we got to just watch it happen, and there wasn't anything insane that caused it. The Chiefs did do something a little dumb that I just wanted to point out here on 3rd and 4 from their own 16-yard line with 2:20 left. Giants were out of timeouts. The Chiefs hiked the ball, and I don't know what Mahomes saw, but he threw one deep down the left sideline that not only was it never going to get to Hollywood, but it almost got picked. It was just a
Yeah.
really poor decision. The Giants had no timeouts. They should have run the ball, got that ball down to the 2-minute warning, and then punted it away. And instead, they risked not only a turnover there, but then the clock stopped with 2:20. It was just a dumb. You would expect a team like the Chiefs
He's
to
he's just getting
not do
another
that.
rep on his deep ball, but
Yeah, maybe he was out for blood. He had felt that pass to Taekwon, and he just thought, I got to do this. I don't know, but either way, I just wanted to point that out because it was a strange decision to even call a pass play in that situation, let alone to throw it deep. But they were up 13. The Giants sucked. No big deal. They separated entirely. They got the game done. We got through this whole recap without talking about Isaiah Pacheco facing backwards. And I mean, that
we'll
was,
talk.
we
We'll
will
talk
talk about
about
that.
that. We'll talk
That
about that.
that was as perplexing as I have ever seen a Chiefs play, a single individual play. So we'll talk about that. Now, I do want to ask you a little trivia question, which I'm
Okay.
sure you may have seen it. I tweeted earlier today, but there is a group of quarterbacks that I'm going to name, and you tell me if you can think of anything that they all have in common with each other.
Okay. All right.
And there's about 10 of them. Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Paxton Lynch, Johnny Manziel, Jamarcus Russell, Jake Plummer, Wade Wilson, and Daryl LaMonica. What do you think they might all have in common with each other?
Well, when you said Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, and Andrew Luck, my first response to that was played their last career game against the Chiefs. That's what I
that
was thinking.
that is correct.
Oh my God, is
That
that
is
correct?
that is correct. That is what all those
Oh,
players. It's not only played their last, but their last game was a loss against the Chiefs.
perfect.
So the Chiefs retired Russell Wilson. Obviously, if anyone
Sure.
has been paying attention to the news today, Jackson Dart is going to start for this team moving forward. I can't imagine Russell Wilson after flaming out in Pittsburgh, flaming out in Denver, flaming out in New York. I mean, I think the Russell Wilson experiment's over. I think
Yeah.
that's another Super Bowl winning quarterback that's eventually going to shuffle his way out of the NFL and just be another example of, I mean, they're a dying breed Super Bowl winning
You
quarterbacks
know
in
what
the
though? They
NFL.
do need a quarterback in Denver, so don't
Man,
rule it
they're
out.
desperate for one. So that's separate entirely. The Chiefs separated Russell Wilson from his career entirely.
Incredible. I absolutely love it. The Chief system, it felt good to be back. Now, another thing that we have not done in a very long time because we only do this after the Chiefs win games is our award system, also inspired by It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We have our five-star men who, through their play on the field, are screaming out, I'm a five-star man. We have our trash men.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Who, of course, are eating garbage all over the field. And we have our wild cards.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
Who are capable of anything. I will kick us off with our five-star men selects. And I, of course, will select Tyquan Thornton. We've already waxed poetic about not only the player, but what he means to the offense and what he means to our dearly beloved Patrick Mahomes. Like it's just so good to see Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball down the field again after years of wandering through the wilderness. And by the way, like he was the first one to be victimized by this. The first guy in the current NFL that team said, we're going to take away this guy's deep ball and force him to beat us. And then he did, and he became the most efficient quarterback in the league. Did you see Josh Allen's ADOT against the Dolphins this week?
It is completely horizontal.
It's like 1.5 yards down the field. So like the
and he ain't the only one.
The passes are traveling like 2 yards in the air. And Bills fans for years were saying, oh, look at Mahomes' ADOT, screen merchant, Andy Reid merchant, yak merchant, whatever. Okay, yeah, like, haha, how the tables have turned. And
Wins merchant.
It's going to be so fun to see Pat get back to chucking the deep ball around. And Tyquan Thornton, I mean, like those back-to-back plays, I understand the first one wasn't a catch, but man, he gave it a great effort. And again, like, I mean, if you add up the misses to Tyquan Thornton, some of which may have been his fault. I mean, again, like the ball up the seam, I'm not sure if that's on Pat or if it's on Tyquan, and I'll
Sure.
leave that to somebody that can break that down in more detail. But like, I mean, there have been some misses that have been Pat's fault for sure. That like, I mean, he could have another couple of touchdowns and like at least double the yardage that he has on the year through 3 weeks. And he's clearly not going to be the number one option when Worthy and Rashee Rice are back. But I don't see any reason why this guy can't be a really interesting, solid number three. Like they just keep doing more things with him, and I'm super impressed with him. 5-star man, absolutely 100% deserved.
I love Tyquan Thornton. I wish my 5-star man could just also be Tyquan Thornton and we could just double him up. He gives this offense just such a level of confidence and a level of swagger that they've been missing. And I do feel like the deep ball, maybe he's caught some people by surprise this year to start the year off. Maybe they didn't quite realize that he was capable of literally just dusting the whole secondary. I mean, he's been wide ass open. These have not been Pat threading the needle or anything like that. He's done it. He's done the majority of the work, the hard work himself. Tyquan has by getting open, and that's a tribute to him and how fast he is and how hard he's worked. But it's something that once the middle of the field becomes more dangerous for the Chiefs offense with Rashee Rice, and once you have another field stretcher on the field, which Hollywood isn't really, not anymore, but Xavier Worthy sure as shit is. Yeah. And if you can get Worthy and Thornton and Rice on the same field, forget Travis Kelce. We've talked about this. I mean, he is who he is.
This is the first time we've mentioned Travis Kelce, I feel like, in
the
entire episode. So,
and that's because he's an afterthought on the team right now too, other than the tirades. It's fine. I love Trav. I'll always love him. But like the 2025 version of the Chiefs is not better because of Travis Kelce.
And the 2026 version of the Chiefs isn't going to have Travis Kelce.
Correct.
But it will have
song,
Rashee Rice, all these Xavier Worthy, and Tyquan Thornton.
Correct.
So that'll be pretty fun.
Great 5-star. I'll go on the other side of the ball, and I will scoop up the whole secondary and pick all those cats.
I love it.
They were dogs. Chris Rowland Wallace with a pick, Jalen Watson with a pick. They held, the Giants played a nameless team the week before the Chiefs, and their top two wide receivers.
A team with a really good defense too.
At least one player on that defense that's a game changer for sure. But they scored the two players, Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, who were very, very good. They had 17 catches combined for 309 of Russell Wilson's 450 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. And Neighbors is a top pick. He's very, very good.
He was at like the 6th or 8th pick in the draft.
And he's a good player. He's really, really hard to match up with. And the Chiefs just bullied him. He had his first catch in the fourth quarter of this game.
6th overall.
Wan'Dale Robinson wasn't very good. They combined those two players for 3 catches for 39 yards, which is the exact opposite of what they did the week before. So, the secondary did their thing. They not only did they not get their ass kicked, they kicked the Giants' ass. They were the tone setters, and they were the ones that constantly were making sure that Russell Wilson's bullshit moonball offense was not working. Couldn't just throw one up there and Malik's down there somewhere, because Chris Rowland Wallace was down there somewhere and Jalen Watson was down there somewhere, and they made him pay for it. So shout out to the secondary, 5 stars all around for those guys. It's great to have the Chiefs secondary back doing their thing. We missed it.
I love it. Give me a trash man. I know we had some candidates.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it at the end of the Chiefs system. The single most perplexing play of the 2025 season, without a shadow of a doubt, is Isaiah Pacheco turned completely the wrong direction. Hips facing his own goal line, spread out to where Mahomes was desperate to get the ball out. He turns to where, I'm sure in his mind, he thinks, oop, this is check down time. Oop, I've got some pressure. I know Pacheco's over there. I know no one's next to him. Let me just go ahead and throw that ball over. And he throws it. And not only, okay, this actually happened twice. The second time
It did
was the
happen
most
to us.
egregious because he
Yeah.
was facing the wrong way. But the first time, I'll go through them individually. The first time Mahomes checks the ball over to Pacheco, but Pacheco is getting rocked. He's getting pushed backwards. Josh Simmons is in his pass pro set. There's nothing he can do. Pacheco can. I mean, Simmons doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. He doesn't know Pacheco's running behind him. And
Right.
Pacheco smashes into Simmons. He looks like freaking Mark Sanchez in the butt fumble. He falls down. He gets up just in time for Mahomes to try and check him the ball backwards, and he immediately grabs the ball and spikes it forward without, I mean, I'm not even sure if the whistles had blown yet. And that type of play is just a complete lack of awareness for where you were on the field. Where, I mean, he must have obviously been pissed that he got knocked down. But the point is, he immediately put the ball in harm's way. The refs easily could have, waited that thing out. If he spiked that ball right to a Giants defender or something, instead of, he actually spiked it into, I think it was Kingsley, possibly. It was a Chiefs lineman. So they just kind of blew the play dead. It could have been an illegal forward pass, could have been a lot of stuff. So then the worst play, that was like the appetizer. Then the main course was Pacheco just getting completely turned around. And then when Pat checks the ball over to him, it hits the ground first. Pacheco doesn't even go for it. He doesn't even have the wherewithal to realize. He probably thought it was forward because he was facing the goal line. He probably thought, oh, that forward pass, if I had caught that, I'd be scoring right now because there was no one in front of me. I mean, he just didn't have his head in the game. And then, to make matters worse, he doesn't go for it. The Giants are going for it. And Pat has to freaking put on the Superman cape and chase the defender down that had picked up the ball and was about to scoop and score and about to put the Giants up in this game. And Pat said, nah, I'm going to be the defensive player of the year today, and snagged the ball right out of him. And just, I mean, turned a complete disaster into just a regular old disaster. What was Pacheco thinking? What was he doing? I know he had a couple decent plays in this game outside of that, but I mean, that if that play doesn't deserve a trash man, I don't know what does.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm sure we will not get any additional information about this because the Chiefs are going to be tight-lipped about that. Obviously, like they always are. But it was not good. It was not good at all.
No.
There's just no way to explain it. This might be a slightly controversial pick for the trash man. I'll give you the three guys that I was deciding between.
Three guys.
One was Charles Omena, who hilariously before the game, they put up the PFF rankings, and he was ranked one. It was either 114th or 144th out of 114. 144. He was ranked 114 or 144th out of 144 defensive linemen in PFF grading. That's terrible.
That's like
awful.
4 per team.
And he wasn't
128. Exactly. I mean, that's
and he wasn't good in this game either. He got destroyed by Cam Scadaboo. Harrison Butker, we already talked about some struggles there. I mean, the Chiefs would have scored 26 points in this game. I mean, he's missed a kick every week. I know we're specifically talking about this game. So given those two, this might be a controversial pick, but I'm going with 32, Nick Bolton. The thing is, like, the Chiefs paid Nick Bolton. I know Spags loves him. I know they love what he does at the green dot, getting the defense lined up, and I know they really value his intelligence. The problem is the guy's he's not an athlete. We knew this when you drafted him, and you don't get more athletic when you come to the league, right? No. Like, as you get older, you get less athletic. We're both
prime examples of that.
Proof positive of that. My younger days, I couldn't have played in the NFL, and I was not very athletic, but I'm much less athletic now than I was as a younger man. There was a specific play in this game where he hits Cam Scadaboo, and I understand that Cam Scadaboo has a reputation, deservedly, for being able to fight through contact, and I get that. But, like, if you're Nick Bolton and you can't make that play, you can't stick a big physical running back behind the line of scrimmage, what are they paying him for? Because it's definitely not his ability to cover or his closing speed, his sideline to sideline change of direction, his athleticism, none of that, none of those things. What they're paying Nick Bolton for, aside from the fact that Spags likes him and he gets the defense lined up is the fact that he hits like a ton of bricks. And, if he's not sticking those tackles, what would you say you do here?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think you could default Nick Bolton into this slot a lot of times if there's really no other. I mean, like he's played like a trash man a lot as a middle
yeah,
linebacker.
yes,
He's just not very good. And if they really like his intelligence, well then let's put Stephen Hawking at middle linebacker or Magnus
right.
Carlson or some. I mean, intelligence is not enough. You need to be an athletic middle linebacker. You need it.
And speaking of Magnus, he's the chess guy, right?
He is.
With
Yeah,
the with
yeah,
the
yeah,
with
yeah.
the with the
Yeah,
buzzer.
Chessmaster. Yeah.
I mean, like if you're concerned about a linebacker's intelligence, get me, a guy that can run and can hit, and we'll just put, a sex thing in his
The
butt,
buzzer.
and we'll
Yeah.
just buzz him the
Yeah.
plays.
Exactly.
Like we'll
Look,
just
he
we could
has a
definitely,
radio. Like Nick Bolton
yeah,
isn't
right.
calling these
I know
plays.
exactly right,
Like
exactly right.
he might be like telling them, he might be translating what Spags
Yep,
is saying
sure.
well, but like get a guy that can cover. It's
I
the
know,
NFL. You
I know.
need to be able to cover the middle of the field. And
Yeah,
it just drives me nuts. So
yeah. Give me a
I
wild card.
I applaud that trash man pick, and I don't think it'll be the last time that we name Nick Bolton as a trash man this year. My wild card is going to be a guy that we just like to give awards to, especially either the 5-star or the wild card, because we love him. We love him to death. And of course, that's Mr. Patrick LaVon Mahomes the second. He was wild in this game
It was wild.
in a lot of wild card ways. Um, the throws were wild and good wild, like good wild card. The deep stuff is stuff that we've been hoping for, and that was really fun. But the play of the day, the wild card play of the day, was the one that I just described in my trash man segment. Was the fumble recovery, the strip of a defensive player to get the ball back. There's an argument to be made, not a good one, but an argument to be made that ball changed possessions, and a
Yes.
3rd and 25 should have
Yeah.
actually been
Should have been
a
a first down
and 10
Chiefs.
Chiefs. But
Sure.
there wasn't enough. I mean the possession wasn't established enough to where I would really take that one to court. But
It happened too quickly.
it was
the
too
issue.
quick. It was too quick.
It's-
Pat was
that's-
too good on defense. If Pat had not had closing speed, if he
Right.
had been a little bit slower to
Sure,
get to that
right.
ball, then the Giants would have actually recovered it and ran with it, and then he would have stripped them, and then it would have been obvious to everyone. So, point being, watching your quarterback, your 3-time Super Bowl winning, 2-time MVP, $500 million contract quarterback, running after a play like that and grabbing the ball away from a defensive player that was about to score a touchdown, which for defensive players is a huge deal.
Sure.
Happens way less to them than it does to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And it just showed again the size of the fight in that dog. I mean, he just wills this team. Every time this team has adversity or is backed up into a corner, he doesn't always win. Not every time. He wins the most of any player ever, but it's not that he has 100% win rate. But what he does have is 100% effort. Every single play, every single game, you never are thinking that Mahomes is loafing or is just mailing it in. I mean, he might make some dumb mistakes every now and then. Again, every player in the NFL does. But boy, I mean, the dude just is a force. He's a wild card. He's a huge wild card.
I love it. And this is definitely one of those mostly positive wild card
Yeah.
performances where he's just, sometimes the wild card is just somebody that's doing something unexpected, and he did some unexpected things in this game. I
Yeah,
mean, every one of these games from Pat has included some plays that could arguably go on the Canton highlight reel.
The real.
Which is great. I mean, like, have these games necessarily been fun to watch start to finish? No, but
Never.
they have included some bright moments and given us some hope that maybe when the offense is fully staffed, that we'll go back to generating nonstop highlight reels for us to enjoy for all times. My wild card is Jawan Taylor. It's funny. I'm sure many of you listening to the show have seen the chart that's been going around. Timo Riska from PFF tweeted this. We talked about it already with Josh Simmons, offensive tackle island rate and pass block win rate when on an island. So when you put a guy out there with no help and you're in a pass block set and he's got somebody coming at him, how often is he winning that one-on-one? And Jawaan Taylor, through 3 weeks, is right up there with some of the best quarterback or some of the best tackles in the NFL. You have an island rate around 60% and a win rate around above 90% in pass blocking situations. So just some of the names clustered around him on this graph are crazy. Josh Simmons is ahead of him in both island rate and pass block win rate. So I mean, as you already alluded to, I mean, he's already one of the best pass protecting tackles in the NFL. But like the two guys right around Josh Simmons, by the way, are Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, the Eagles tackles. Jawaan Taylor, the guys like kind of clustered right around him on this plot. Garrett Bowles for the Broncos, who's excellent. Deion Dawkins for the Bills, really good. Braden Smith for the Colts, excellent player. Trent Williams, maybe you've heard of him, one of the greatest tackles of all time. Joe Alt for the Chargers, right around there in kind of that same little plot area. Will Campbell, mentioned him, the great rookie for the Patriots. These are all really good players, and Jawaan Taylor is right up there in island rate and essentially one-on-one island pass block win rate. The reason he's in the wild card is that he's still committing insane numbers of penalties. And this game, he got away with several that probably should have been called. Certainly, there were people complaining. I mean, people are always complaining, but
rightfully complaining.
This time that there were probably at least 3 or 4 snaps in this game where he should probably have been flagged for a false start, and the officials decided to let it go. In general, this was a pretty laxly officiated game, and sometimes you're going to get those. And that's what's so frustrating about Jawaan Taylor is, like if the only thing he was being evaluated on was his ability to win one-on-ones and pass protection, he'd be a great player and he'd be worth the contract. The problem is he's not a very good run blocker, and he's like the most penalized player in the league. And, the worst part about it is, like he always had the early jump. Lane Johnson gets grandfathered in. He's false starting all the time. Everything was fine for Jawaan until the Chris Collinsworth, opening night game where he called him out. And like, I worry that a game like this, where he got away with a couple, it just means that like next week he's going to get flagged like 6 times because they're going to, send the refs back to study their tape or whatever before their next assignment. They're going to be like, oh yeah, you missed some on Jawaan Taylor. And whether he's going early or not next week, I just fear that we're going to see a little bit of blowback there. So he is a wild card. I think this is Pat was erring on the positive side of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
This is a negative side. Like he's doing what he's supposed to do in the sense that if all we were evaluating was his pass block win rate, good player. The problem is that that's not all we're evaluating. He's I mean, like, why is Jalen Moore on the team? Why'd you pay him the money?
Yes,
like,
that's what I was about to say.
I mean, even just to
Jalen
give
Moore's
him like
waiting, man.
even just to give him a series or something, right? Like the next
Platoon
time
him.
Jawaan Taylor, exactly right. The next time Jawaan Taylor gets a penalty, take him out for a drive.
Yep.
You have to know that. I mean, like, I'm sure we know Travis Kelce feels this way because he told us so on national TV on Black Friday or on the opening night game. Not Black Friday, but it was on Friday. So might as well be Black Friday.
It was.
For us, it was.
It was very dark.
It was very dark. It was very black. We know how Travis feels about it. You have to think the whole offense feels that way about Jawaan from a penalty perspective. So there's my wild card.
It's frustrating because the issues I tend to, as a non-athlete, I think of football, I think of the mental side of it a lot more than I think of the physical side of it.
Sure.
I'm impressed by the physical side of it, but like how has the coaching not stuck with him? How has he not understood? These are self-inflicted wounds. Even if the penalties were holding, even if the only thing that he ever did was when he got beat, he would pull the guy to the ground instead of letting the guy go tee off on Mahomes. I am fine with that. In fact, I mean, that's kind of the way I would want my tackles to play if they got beat. But his penalties are procedural. They're false starts. They're illegal formations. They're stuff that it's just it's a boneheaded. He doesn't understand when to jump and he doesn't understand where to line up. And he's been playing football his whole life. That's the type of stuff that I don't know if I can blame Andy Heck or blame any other person on the Chiefs coaching staff because like clearly they've told him
Right.
clearly, and all the other four guys know exactly what they're doing. It's a mental thing with Juwan, and that's where it's so frustrating because like how do you fix that? How do you is he just one day gonna realize he's been screwing up this whole time? And like I don't know, he's frustrating. And I think his days are fairly numbered in Kansas City. I mean, I know for the year. I mean, I know this is last year here for sure,
Yeah.
obviously.
Right.
But like he's getting pretty close to where he should be permanently on the pine for Jalen Moore. And I'm just kind of surprised they haven't really considered it more seriously up till now. But like, man, if he gets a big penalty coming up in any of these next couple games, and I just don't see I would love if the Chiefs made him, held accountable for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap our recap. So let's talk about what's going to be happening this
Whew.
Sunday. Chiefs versus Ravens. This game, the talking point nationally is going to be about how both of these teams are 1-2. The Ravens just fell to the Lions 38-30 last night on Monday Night Football in Baltimore. Detroit came to town, and it was not as close as the final score would indicate. Baltimore put up a late garbage time touchdown to Mark Andrews, but like the Lions pulled away in the second half, beat this Baltimore team, and like this is a really interesting matchup. It's historically been a matchup that strongly favors the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 5-1 against Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback, and the one time they lost, Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the ball when the Chiefs were in range to kick a game-winning field goal. Like only the one playoff meeting, and they beat him there, but they have owned him in the regular season. They've owned him the one time they played him in the playoffs. And this Baltimore team is obviously hugely explosive. We'll break down each side of the ball, but they're just I don't know. It feels like they're the same team every year in the sense that like you're going to have weeks where you watch them playing, you're going to think, how does anybody ever beat this team? And then they will go out and show you how people beat them. Like in week
Sometimes in
one,
that
when
same week.
they blow a 14-point lead, to the Bills in 3 minutes of game time, essentially, at the end of the fourth quarter to lose that game. Like you'll see all of these insane win probability graphs for the Ravens where the game's basically over in like the second quarter because they're just pouring it on a bad team. And then you'll see like more than once a year some game where they've got like a 98% win percentage with like 3 minutes to go and they blow the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just hard to get a handle on this Ravens team. How are you kind of feeling before we dive into the matchups here?
Well, yeah, when they blew the game against the Bills in week one, a lot was said about their ability to blow games. They have
crazy.
8 blown leads with a 90+ win probability in the final however many minutes it was of a game since I think it was maybe 2019 or like the Lamar era. And I mean, they have been notorious for these giant collapses. And yes, when you're a team as talented as the Ravens, and they will throttle people and they'll beat, you mentioned last week on the pod when they played a terrible Miami team and they beat them 60 whatever in week one a couple of years ago. I mean,
yeah.
They know how to pour it on. But when you're a team like that, sometimes you run out of gas in the middle of the game and then the other team punches right back in the mouth. And something uncharacteristic for this team is that Derrick Henry now has 3 straight games with a fourth quarter fumble.
Right.
And it didn't matter in the Browns game. It lost the game essentially to the Bills.
Yep.
And it sure didn't help the Lions game. Lions were doing enough work on their own that I wouldn't say the fumble was 100% why. But like, point is, Derrick Henry, who's very good at ball security, has been, despite him still being Derrick Henry and still being incredibly explosive and one of the, if not the biggest physical mismatch in the NFL. He might be the biggest physical mismatch in sports. Like, I can't believe a guy that big can run that fast. He's the fastest and biggest player on the field. That's impossible.
31 and he's running for almost 6 yards a pop this year.
He is separating from DBs when he gets out in the second level. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, I tweeted in week 1 when they were up on the Bills, they were up big on the Bills, and I said, it's kind of a miracle that this team has ever lost a game when they've
Yeah,
had both
sure.
Lamar and Derrick Henry, because
I agree.
Lamar is maybe the second biggest physical mismatch in the NFL.
Sure.
I mean, he is the most elusive player by far,
He's right
and
up there.
he's right up there. And to have both of them in the backfield and to have an ability to do like a read option and for Lamar to either keep the ball or hand it off to Derrick Henry, and those
Yeah.
linebackers have to decide, do I want to, you have to either take 2 steps towards where Lamar would be or else you're never going to catch him, or you have to take 2 steps where Derrick Henry's going to be or he'll run right through you,
Right.
or you'll never catch him, because they're both incredible. It's crazy that this team has ever lost, let alone never even been to a Super Bowl in the 3 seasons that Derrick Henry's been there. It's almost impossible. And now they're 1-2. They lose the game to the Bills and they lose the game to the Lions, and those are 2 teams that you could easily see meeting this year in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Similarly to the Chiefs having lost 2 games to the Chargers, who they're feisty, they're good, they're 3-0, they look like a pretty good
Undefeated.
team,
Yeah.
right? And obviously the Eagles. So I don't really put as much stock into the big picture. The loser of this game is cooked, as I think the record would show that it should be. I mean, 1-3, that's pretty tough to start climbing back from. It's been done. But it's more that, whoever loses this game will look at all 3 of their losses and they'll say, damn, our schedule was really hard. We started
Yeah.
this year off against
3 out of 4.
out of 4 Super Bowl contenders. I mean, the Browns were the one game that the Ravens won, and the Giants are the one game the Chiefs won, and their other games have all been just dogfights. And I do think that this matchup, I kind of wanted. I told you before the game on Monday, I wanted the Ravens. I wanted the Ravens to be 2-1 and to not come into this game as desperate as the Chiefs are, because I don't really care about the race with the Ravens in the AFC right now. I care about the Chiefs getting right, and I care about the Chiefs reeling off some wins and looking good. And it just feels like, with the Ravens being backs against the wall on the road, 1-5 against Mahomes, or Lamar versus Mahomes, this is it's a tough damn matchup. It's about as desperate of a road team coming in as you can ask for, and the Chiefs are, although they're familiar and they're comfortable playing the Ravens and obviously have had success against them, how long can you keep that up? What are they going to go 20-1 against Lamar? Are they just going to beat him forever?
Yep.
I mean, eventually, it's probably going to go the other way. So that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's always tough when you're going up against an incredibly good team and an incredibly good quarterback to keep them down forever. I mean, the same people pointed out to me on Twitter that I've tweeted this before. Like, I said, boy, it's really hard to, keep this guy down forever. And then, people pointing out that it's really hard to go 4-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. And the Chiefs have done that. It is, and if you throw Lamar in there, they've gone 5-0 against Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in the playoffs, which is
don't count on that.
Insane. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be possible. Let's jump into the matchups really quick, and I actually want to start with the Ravens offense against the Chiefs defense, because this Ravens offense is a juggernaut. They're first in the league in points scored. They're scoring 37 points per game through 3 games. Expected points added, they are 4th in expected points added. They're 4th in passing EPA. They're 12th in rushing EPA,
which is a shock to me that they're only 12th.
I agree, and I think the turnovers, the fumbles, I'm sure play into that, because the fumbles will count against your EPA. Overall success rate, they're 8th. Passing success rate, they're 7th. Rushing success rate, they're only 18th. That is pretty surprising. Late down success rate, they're 10th. Pass rate, so that's just how often they're passing, they're 19th. Pass rate over expected, they're 8th. Explosive play rate, they're the number 1 most explosive offense in the league.
Not a shock.
Their series conversion rate is 10th. All these stats, by the way, by Joseph Hefe, Jefe on Twitter/X, using ESPN and NFL verse data that he scraped there. So, I mean, like, those are just kind of, I mean, all you got to do is look at the points per game number. We love the advanced stats and the analytics, but like 37 points per game through 3 weeks is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it, it's a strong offense. We know this about Lamar and the Ravens. Now, the Chiefs have had, with the exception of the shootout that the Chiefs lost to Lamar and the Ravens, most of these games the Chiefs have like completely held this offense in check, which is crazy because again, like this is an
How?
offense that I mean, a couple of years ago, when the Chiefs beat them in the AFC Championship game, they went on the road in Detroit and beat them like 44-6 or something like that. And Detroit was in the final two on the NFC side.
Oh, yeah, they kicked the shit out of every good
And
contender.
they
They
beat
beat
they
the
beat the
Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, beat them
Yes,
really
on
bad.
Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in San
The Bills,
Francisco.
I
They
think, was
beat the
part of
Bills.
that.
That's right. They did. They beat they just beat everybody. And then the
Yeah.
Chiefs held them to 10 points in
Yeah.
their house in the AFC Championship game and went on and won the Super Bowl
Legendary.
with a fairly yeah, it is. It is legendary. It's crazy. The Chiefs defense, the numbers do not look very good so far. Uh in terms of EPA, the Chiefs defense is ranked 21st. They're 12th against the pass and 29th against the run. And this is a really, I mean, we talk about this every time we break down this matchup. It's funny how, we've been doing the podcast long enough now, and the Chiefs have played the same teams every year that we could go back and literally probably copy
Cut and
paste
paste. Yeah, I thought about
some
that.
of the notes from our previous podcast verbatim. But like the 29th rushing EPA against for the Chiefs defense is kind of a little bit of a lie, right? Like we know this about the Chiefs. They choose to let you run. And if they want to choose for you not to run, they will choose that. They will choose that. And they obviously, like they just have Spags has, with the exception of him just getting completely bamboozled in week 1 against the Chargers, he's shown the last 2 weeks that he's still Spags. Like he's still got it. We don't have to worry about Steve Spagnuolo being washed. And he just has this ability to like Jedi mind trick the Ravens in particular into doing whatever he wants them to do. A couple of years ago when they met in the AFC Championship game, the Ravens were asking themselves the whole game, like, well, why didn't we run the ball more? Why we were only down 1 score? Why were we passing so much? And it's like, I mean, Spags has just tricked you. He's just bamboozled you into doing what he wants, which is he wants you to throw the ball. If he wants you to run the ball, he'll let you know. And I'm confident that whatever Spags wants the Ravens to do, he will present a defense to them that encourages them to do it. And then the trap is sprung. The game plan comes out, the blitzes come out. And Lamar, I mean, you saw it in the Bills game and you saw it against the Lions last night. He's still a guy that struggles against the blitz. Like
sacked him 7 times.
As long as you can keep contain on him, which the Chiefs do occasionally struggle with, as long as you can keep contain on him, you can get to him. I mean, like the guy does still have a problem with pressure in a way that a guy like Josh Allen maybe doesn't. Like I go back and forth all the time on which one of those guys is better. And it kind of depends on who I'm watching at the time. If I've watched Lamar last, I'm like, oh my God, that guy's the second best quarterback I've ever seen. And then I'll watch Lamar or Josh Allen and I'll think the same thing. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Chiefs game plan this on defense, but it's really encouraging. I mean, the performance they just had against the Giants, understanding the Giants are much less successful offense than the Ravens are, but having a couple of good defensive performances in a row against quarterbacks that I know Russell Wilson's not what he used to be, but he was the Giants' leading rusher through 2 games. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, you just played 2 mobile quarterbacks and had a lot of success in both of those games. Obviously, Lamar is a much better passer than Russell Wilson or Jalen Hurts at these stages of their respective careers. But you've had some success, and I think you can build on that in this game.
When I think about the Ravens and the mismatch and how they're able to do what they're able to do on offense, I mean, to me, as I pointed out earlier, it comes down to the fact that they have both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
And
if
you were to think of another offense in the NFL that has the equivalent or close to equivalent aliens running the ball with a quarterback and a running back that are both mismatches that can both do a lot of good stuff running the ball. I mean, to me, that's Philly. That's
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts and Saquon
100%.
Barkley.
Yep.
And not only did the Chiefs hold the Eagles offense down, you know, they held Saquon down again for the second
Right.
game in a row.
Yep.
After, the Super Bowl, even though nothing else went right, they were able to hold him down. And then, of course, in week 2, they were too. And
And the
I,
Eagles have a much better offensive line
much better.
than the
And they
Ravens do.
have monsters on the outside, especially
Yeah,
with AJ
they have
Brown
much better
and
receivers, right?
and Devontae
Exactly.
Smith. I mean, they are a super team for a reason. The reason that everyone calls them a super team is that everywhere you look on that team, other than maybe the quarterback, you
Sure.
see, superstars. And it's with the Ravens, like Zay Flowers is really good. And their defense has some guys that are really, really good. Kyle Hamilton,
Matabike, if he's
Matabike
healthy.
if he's healthy, which he missed the game against the Lions. We'll see later on in this week if he's able to play. But they are gettable. They are certainly a team that, yes, they've scored 37, but why do you think they're 1-2? Like
Sure. We'll
they've
talk about
given
that in
up
a second. Yeah,
right
we'll talk
on
about
the other
that.
side of the ball. And so when the offense is scoring a lot, sometimes for this team, it's kind of that 2018 Chiefs offense is scoring a lot because they have to,
Sure.
because
Sure.
that's their only option. And against the Bills and the Lions, two teams that have, excellent offenses that were able to just move the ball on at will against the defense, the offense came out and was in go mode for the Ravens. And so I just wonder if this is a low scoring game, like you don't really have that kind of threat that the Ravens offense has to be desperate, because if they think they're in the fight, then they can kind of just plod along and they can kind of hand the ball off a couple times and then punt it back to you. And they kind of have, it's almost like they have too much faith in their defense. Like they just kind of take it easy when they shouldn't. And I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. They really want to beat the Chiefs, but when the Ravens offense has the ball, I feel like every time they get a stop of any kind, a field goal attempt, a punt, it's going to be massive for the Chiefs defense, their psyche, their mentality. Like it's just every time you can get the Ravens off the field, it's a huge win.
Yeah, and I mean we already talked about it. The Chiefs front four showed up against the Giants in a way that they hadn't in the first 2 weeks. And the Lions got to Lamar 7 times. They don't have an overwhelming front. They've got some guys in the trenches, and
Yeah,
obviously,
Aiden Hutchinson's pretty good.
yeah, obviously getting Aiden Hutchinson back after he was hurt last year was huge for them. But I mean, the Chiefs have Chris Jones.
Yeah, right,
Like
right.
if you want to talk about like a studs and duds approach to defense, like the top end talent is comparable there. Um, if the best version of 95 shows up, and I think it's big for him and Karlaftis to get off the schneid and get a sack each and get to the quarterback. Like I think, sacks, NFL people will tell you they come in bunches, like it very much is it's a hot hand thing. And they both just had really strong games pressure wise. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this works. And, like obviously every defense is going to be, there's going to be some interplay between the pass rush and the secondary. And right now, the secondary is playing so well that they're giving the pass rush more time than they might normally have.
Great
That's
point.
a way that Lamar's gettable. You make him hold on to the ball and wait for somebody to get open, and oops, nobody's open. You know, in a way, like the way that he used to play quarterback was maybe more effective against that, where, if his first read's covered, he's going to run. And especially, 4 or 5 years ago, Lamar as a runner was absolutely insane and devastating. And he's still obviously very good, but he's
Yeah.
not quite as quick, not quite as fast as he used to be. Let's talk about the other side of the ball here. The Chiefs offense against the Ravens defense. Resistible force against
I
the object a
thought
little
the same
bit,
thing.
except that it may surprise listeners of the podcast to learn that the Chiefs offense is ranked 7th in EPA. That's expected points added. So 7th in the NFL. Now, the difference between the Chiefs, who are ranked 7th, and the Ravens, who are ranked 4th, is quite large. The Chiefs are averaging 0.08 EPA, expected points added, or 0.09 if you want to round up. It's 0.089. The Ravens are averaging 0.2, so their offense has been more than twice as good as the Chiefs in terms of EPA. They're only 3 ranks higher, but their offense has been a lot better. And I mean, sometimes just your basic stats can convey that picture just as well. The Chiefs are averaging 20 points a game. The Ravens are averaging 37 points a game. That's almost twice as good, right? That's almost twice as many points. But this Ravens defense is bad. Like it's really bad. It's really, really bad. It's they are you think the Chiefs are bad against the run? The Ravens are 31st in rushing EPA on defense. They're 21st against the pass. They are allowing, or they're 29th in success rate, which is not good. You want to be high, they're 29th. Their rushing success rate, they are 31st, almost dead last. Their series conversion rate, the rate at which they're giving up first downs, 76.9% of the time, that's 30th in the NFL. They're defensively, they're giving up 0.129 EPA per play on defense. That's 27th in the NFL. Like pretty much every metric that you can look at for the Ravens defense is bad. And the Chiefs offense is 7th in EPA, which is crazy because they don't have Xavier Worthy. They don't have Rashee Rice.
And they've looked terrible.
And they've looked awful. They've looked so bad. Like I mean, like I had to make this observation when I saw this stat. Like the only way I can explain this is that every team in the it's actually, I love this thing that Nick Wright says, and I know you bring it up all the time. The Chiefs' other quarterbacks are compared to Mahomes at his worst. Like we get their other quarterbacks at their best are compared to Mahomes at his worst, and that's the only way you can make a fair comparison. We as Chiefs fans also do this.
Yes.
We are comparing the current version of the Chiefs against the best version of the Chiefs.
Right.
And that's why, to us, these numbers seem so shocking. Like, we're like, this is the worst offense I've ever seen. And it's terrible. And I can't imagine that there is a worse offense in the NFL than this. But that's because we're comparing it to the 2018, 2019, 2022 Chiefs.
Yeah.
And the fact is, most teams in the NFL are really bad at offense. They're really bad at scoring points, and they don't have Patrick Mahomes, and they don't have Andy Reid. Like, it's crazy. Like the numbers don't seem real, and yet everything suggests the Chiefs have an opportunity here to score points against this Ravens defense.
They definitely do. They, not every team can have a season that the Chiefs have had so far and look at everything that has transpired and where they are, on offense and look and go, oh, actually, like things are fine. Like they are fine. It's not fine for us, but it is fine for the team. It is fine for the Chiefs. They are fine. It's just that we are expecting a lot more than fine. And they've been productive enough ish. Yeah. They've gotten the job done most of the time, which, looking around the league, I guess these other teams don't. I guess if the Chiefs are 7th, that just shows that this is an embarrassing show by the NFL offenses.
Sure.
If this Chiefs team is 7th, what are you guys doing?
Right.
What are these other 25 teams that are ranking worse than the Chiefs in EPA per play on offense? How? What are they doing? But now you look at the opponent here, the Ravens, who are going to have to come into Arrowhead. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a rocking 1-2 versus 1-2, both teams against the wall. I mean, this is going to feel like a playoff game. And I know that, maybe the weather won't make it feel like a playoff game. And I know that the situation, it's still week 4, despite how much we want this to be a playoff game, but atmosphere, fan insanity, it's going to be loud. It's going to be electric. And I just like the Chiefs' chances to score points in that environment. And the reason I do is because every time they've had that environment, they've scored points. I mean, it's just they are so reliable. Yes, I'm speaking as someone that traveled to New Orleans and saw them in that environment and they didn't score points. However, they did end up having 22 points in that game. They figured it out at some point.
Right.
And I just don't know how you can bet against a Patrick Mahomes-led offense to beat a defense like this. Now, first of all, when Mahomes goes up against the number 1 defenses in the NFL, he beats them. He beats him every time. I mean,
Yep.
that's like his favorite thing to do is to go up against like the most ridiculous stacked defenses of all time. As long as he has some guys on his side that can help him out a little bit, he always rises to that challenge. And then, you have other scenarios where the other team isn't necessarily stacked and they're struggling. And, would it surprise anyone if the Chiefs dropped 40 in this game? Honestly, would it surprise you? Because, like,
No,
right. Like, it
no.
would
And
surprise you in the
especially
sense that it would be
if Worthy's
pleasant,
going to play.
that it would be like, this is fun. I don't remember what this is like. That would be a surprise. But it's not like we'd be like, I can't believe it. I can't believe this Chiefs or offense was able to put up a bunch of points, because that's just that's eventually it's going to happen again. Eventually, everything's a cycle. They're going to come back and they're going to be the best offense in football before too long. I don't know if it's this year or next year or when it's going to happen, but I know that it's going to happen soon. And this is a good time to show everybody that champs are still here.
And it's worth pointing out that the Ravens defense coordinator Zach Orr, he was a rookie defensive coordinator last year. They were 9th in points against. The advanced metrics were a little bit worse for them last year.
Yeah,
They've really fallen off a cliff this year. I mean, like, this is not a Steve Spagnuolo. This is not a Mike McDonald, who was obviously the defensive coordinator when they made it to the AFC Championship game a couple of seasons ago. Now's the very successful out of the gate head coach in Seattle. This is a sophomore defensive coordinator that does not have the pedigree of a Mike McDonald. We talk about this in the offseason. Like, these teams like the Bills and the Ravens keep getting rated. The brain drain in these organizations is real. And they don't have the rings to show for it. Zach Orr was probably they lost a guy to Miami, who was kind of their first choice to replace McDonald as their DC, and he ends up getting hired as the DC in Miami, which I mean,
yeah,
okay,
they're a whole nother mess.
Maybe they dodged a bullet there, but
right.
The point is that Zach Orr, Zach Orr is not Andy Reid, and that is
it's not Randy Reid.
That's right. That is a coaching mismatch that the Chiefs should be able to exploit. And frankly, at this point, I understand people are down on Andy Reid, and that's fine. Like, the start of the season has not been what we hoped it would be. But, man, at what point are we going to have the conversation about Jim Harbaugh, or John Harbaugh, excuse me. Jim Harbaugh's 3-0.
Yeah.
What point are we going to have
Who's
the conversation
got it better
about
than Jim?
Exactly. What point are we going to have the conversation about John Harbaugh? At what point is the fact that the Ravens are blowing these games? Now, he's not calling plays, but at what point are the Ravens blowing all these games in the regular season? The proclivity to just completely collapse when they have a huge advantage, and their proclivity to just lose playoff games in every way possible. I mean, they just, whether it's a close game or blowout loss, they have found such creative ways to lose playoff games. I don't know. The Chiefs have a coaching advantage in this game.
Do you think that if the Ravens don't win the AFC Championship this year, that John Harbaugh is the coach of the Ravens next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
think it's about a 50-50.
I'd say that he's definitely going to be on the hot seat. Now, I think, the problem with teams like the Ravens and certainly the Bills, who we've talked about a bunch in this context with Sean McDermott, problem with teams like that is they'll win their division every year. The Ravens are going to easily win their division. Probably even if they lose this game, they're still probably going to win the division because
Steelers, Bengals, and Browns.
The Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, and the Steelers, I don't know, the Steelers will win at 9 or 10 games like they always do.
Sure, and the Browns is the Browns.
And the Browns is the Browns, so they're a pit of despair. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, and I honestly don't know if what I would prefer to happen, because on the one hand, the Harbaughs
point.
They've been aggressive on fourth down. They have really
Super Bowl winning coach.
Exactly. They have made a lot of strides to develop Lamar as a passer. I think that the front office is very good, and the personnel they've run in,
they're really good.
Is really good, and yet they keep losing to us.
Well, join the club.
and Lamar is 0-2 against Josh Allen in the playoffs.
Yes.
Yes.
There is a third. I mean, it is clearly Mahomes 1, Allen 2.
When you're including the playoffs, yes.
Yeah.
And if you're just including the regular season, like Lamar is probably 1 and Mahomes is 1A, like just in terms of, I mean, I know like the balance of their output, but like Lamar
impact.
should probably have 3 MVPs. Like he was a better
Yeah,
player than Josh Allen last year.
it
Josh
was
Allen got,
debatable, but I mean, yeah, you're right. It's
yeah, I know.
clearly
I mean,
there's
it
a
just
debate
is,
that says that
ugh,
Lamar should have had 3.
he's incredible. He's a great
And
player.
it's funny. It's almost like the voters protected Lamar by not giving it to him.
Sure.
It's almost like they
Yeah.
were like, buddy, you can't keep doing this. You
Yeah, we're
can't
not
keep
going to
winning
give it to you
MVPs and
until
not
you
winning.
go to a Super Bowl.
You can't go to your first playoff win as a 3-time MVP. I mean, not first, but like you can't go to your first Super Bowl appearance as a 3-time MVP winner. That's just
Right.
not, it doesn't
Right.
compute.
Right.
So it is kind of like they were like, well, we got to give one to Josh at least, but they're going to start. I mean, if Josh wins an MVP this year, then they're going to look the next year and be like, shit, you guys, like we can't just keep giving you 2 MVPs. Like somebody needs to. So anyway, I do think that Lamar is underperforms in big moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's whether it's a primetime game or whether it's playoff games or what have you. I think that's been a pretty clear, marker in his whole career. It's happened in his playoff losses. It's happened in big time matchups against the Bills and the Chiefs. It's happened. I mean, there was a while he's kind of figured out the Steelers, but there was a while that he was, I think, 1-6 in his first 7 against the Steelers. And this was another kind of Nick Wright point where he was like, your biggest games as a Ravens quarterback are against the top teams in the AFC, the Steelers, and playoff games. That's like how you define your legacy. And you are dog shit in all of those, every single chance.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I don't know how much you can blame John Harbaugh for a quarterback that just doesn't seem to be able to channel it. I mean, Josh Allen's the exact opposite. I can blame McDermott because Josh Allen does everything he possibly can in big games to win those games. I mean, he is a dog. And so, I mean, that's what gives me, you mentioned earlier that you kind of go back and forth every time you watch those two about who you think is better. I haven't gone back and forth on that in years. I still feel that Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in the NFL. And I think it's a pretty good margin between he and Lamar, not because Lamar's ceiling is much lower than Josh Allen's. In fact, Lamar probably has a higher ceiling than Josh Allen.
Yeah, sure.
But he has a
higher ceiling than like any quarterback alive.
Yes, correct. But he just has a much lower floor. And to me, I mean, Josh Allen's floor is so high, and especially now that he cut out the turnovers. I know we're getting into Josh Allen circle jerk here instead of talking about the Ravens, but I mean, he had one flaw, and it was turning the ball over a lot, and then he cut that out, and it's like, oh, how do you beat this guy? So, yeah, I think when the Chiefs have the ball, they're going to move it. When the Ravens have the ball, they're probably going to move it. And I think we're in for a fun little, 27-24 type of like mid-20s slugfest. I don't see either of these teams pulling away. I don't see a shootout in the 30s or 40s. I think this is probably going to be a pretty classic Chiefs-Ravens game.
Can't wait to see it. We'll talk to you guys next week. It's always sunny in Chiefs Kingdom.